everybody. Welcome back to the Sacred Femme Alchemy podcast. Super excited to have you here. This is the last episode I'm going to be recording for the year of 2024. I'm going on a break. Feels really good. Honestly, not gonna lie, I'm very burnt out. I woke up this morning. I had a women's group coaching call, and I told them, I was like, there's nothing I want to celebrate right now. I'm just being real. I'm showing up tired and I don't feel like celebrating, and I can't wait for break. Sometimes it's so easy to think that you need to show up in a perfect way and feel really grateful, and other times you just have to do you and just say no. I think I'm at this point in my life where hiding how you feel, how you want to appear is just a waste of fucking time. I'm just going to be real. It's just a waste of time. I think it creates this whole fabricated type of lifestyle about being an entrepreneur, that things are always amazing. And I don't know. Am I waking up jaded? I don't know. I'm waking up really tired. And so this is my attitude right now. Oh gosh. And I was originally supposed to record a podcast on someone else's episode, or on their podcast, but they didn't show up. And so I was like, okay, little annoyed, but I have time back. So I'm going to give some love to my own podcast, and I'm going to record an episode for my community. And so here I am on my phone, just shooting the shit with you all, recording the last episode of the year. And usually when I am not scheduled to record a podcast, I'll typically sometimes do one where I'll have a topic in mind. And so I went to my list of all these different ideas that I have that I wrote down from last week when I felt super inspired. And the one that really jumped out to me came from inspiration of a one-on-one coaching session that I had with a client who was talking to me about how she wants the people she dates to be very similar to her. And I think there's such a huge difference between compatibility and wanting someone to be like you. And the fundamental difference that I think about are values. And I used to not think that way. Trust me, I wanted someone who was just like me because I thought life would be easier. But I was looking at it from a sense of wanting to spend time with something, wanting a companion. And what I realized is I'm my own best fucking companion. I'm not trying to be in a relationship just because I don't want to feel that I'm never going to be alone. Well, no, I don't want to judge people and say, okay, well, how you think of relationships, maybe you need to rethink it, because everyone's allowed to use relationships however they see fit, whichever works for them, right? We're all on these different spiritual journeys. We all have different wants and needs. And who am I to say one size fits all? I think that's where you see a lot of the different challenges come up when people are thinking about relationships and this dogmatic point of view. And that's not what I'm trying to be. And it's really funny because it's actually embedded in my whole astrological signs as well, my Vedic astrological signs. I am double Gemini, so I am able to hold a capacity for a more broader viewpoint of people. And so being able to see the darkest sides or the lightest sides and meet the actual middle of things and understand it. And so, yeah, you do you, right? If you want someone to just be your companion and that works for you, that's totally fine. But I know for me, that does not work because I really focused on myself to build this reservoir and ability to love myself so deeply that I will never feel alone. And I love my own company. I have solitude in my own company. And it's not just because I self-identify as a cat and being an introverted extrovert. I genuinely can entertain myself, and I don't need to other people's to be this external stimuli for me in order for me to feel engaged with life. I create my own engagement. I create my own opportunities. I create my own projects. That's why I'm an entrepreneur. But anyways, so she was saying that she wanted someone exactly like her, and I can definitely identify. I remember when I was dating my ex, I wanted him to be so spiritual. So spiritual. And I hear this all the time, especially within the spiritual community, that they want someone who's woke, or maybe, if you think about it, a lot of women, they're more progressive on the spiritual transformation, personal development space, the wellness space. And when they find their current partner not on the same path, there tends to be this push and pull type of relationship where it's, okay, our paths aren't parallel. We're actually diverging. And when really, we just don't have the capacity or ability to control other people's spiritual evolution or their spiritual path. And you actually attract more flies with honey than with vinegar. And so if someone's telling you like, hey, why don't you think about it this way? Or why aren't you working on yourself? You think they're going to want to change? No, they're going to think you're annoying, and they're going to think you're on your high horse. And they're going to be so turned off from spirituality and the way that you're living because you're forcing them to do something. You're pressuring them. And so the thing that you actually want, you're blocking it by just being arrogant about your way of living. And so I definitely learned it the hard way. And I think oftentimes in your relationship, you think that you know better because you found a way that actually works. And you just get so excited about it, right? You found this new way of living. Maybe you found this new yoga class. Maybe you found this new meditation, and your partner's not even into meditation. And the best thing you can do is just attract the actual practice by just showing the benefits, but not telling them, right? How much more freedom would they feel if you just actually showed up in your ability to just be in that essence and embodiment of the benefits of that spiritual practice, right? Maybe they notice that you're more chill. They're like, oh, she doesn't get stressed as easily. What is she doing? You know, it's like when you're walking down the street and someone, this is so funny. This is like a random example that's coming in my head. Someone says, oh my God, you have beautiful skin, or you have beautiful hair. Like, where did you get your highlights? Or where did you get your facial? Or what products are you using? Right? But you're not going around telling people, oh my God, look at my skin, look at my face, da da da. I mean, granted, some people do that on TikTok and they're influencers, but the best kind of advice is the one that's unspoken, right? Because you're not putting it in front of their faces. And I just remember there was this 12-step meeting that I used to go to on Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. Oh my God, who wants to wake up at 6:30 to go to a 7 a.m. meeting? But I would always go home so happy, and I would always just kind of judge my ex for not wanting to come with me and relish in this amazing, beautiful community of like-minded people. And I'd make him feel bad about it because I would think that my way of living is better. But it's, if you're showing up haughty and arrogant, not really. You're judging someone for their way of life. And, you know, he just didn't like it, and it just turned him off. It turned him off. Ooh, and I got a package. Okay. We're opening the door here. I could pause it, but no, that's totally fine. I'm just like, whatever. We're just keeping it real. But anyways, so I just remember him being completely turned off. He shows up at his own, fellowship. And, it's like being able to give someone the freedom to show up in the way that they want is, I think, the key in a relationship. And however they choose to progress, however they choose to be on their own spiritual evolution is their own journey. And afterwards, when I broke up with my ex, I realized, do I actually need someone to like all the same things that I do, all the same music? Sure, it does make life easier because you don't have to argue or compromise, because at the end, relationships are all just about compromise when it really comes down to it. It's like, you like this, I like that, Or it's like, you can think of it as simpatico. Like, we're totally on sync. We're driving together. It's because we like the same things and it just makes life easier, right? Or you can have, it's okay, well, I'm not vegan, but it's like someone saying, okay, well, I'm vegan and my partner's a meat eater. That won't work. But that's why it's so unique to every single person, and you need to figure out and write down in your journal or get really clear and have clarity around what are your non-negotiables for when you are calling in your partner. Because you limit yourself, you limit your sample size of the type of people you date if you're so rigid in the type of person that you're calling in. And I'm not saying lowering your standards. I'm just saying having a broader wider net of who you want to call in, because ultimately at the end of the day, the fundamentals comes down to values. And it's actually validated because I was listening to a podcast of this entrepreneur, and him and his wife are just so different. They're so different. They like different things, the way they, like their health style, this is like how they consider wellness and the activities they like to do. But at the end of the day, their values are very similar, and you can't change values. Sure, you can, be open to different music, open to different activities, and, those types of things. And you learn to acquiesce a little bit, but it's not in the sense of completely compromising yourself so that you resent your partner. And so, for example, in my current relationship right now, I don't like skiing. I don't like skiing. But I'm going to France with this whole family and we're going skiing. I'm like, okay, I'm in a family of a bunch of skiers and they just love to do that. So if I'm going to be with this person for the rest of my life, like, all right, I'm just going to have to accept that. Or I'm totally a cat person. I love having cats. I don't really want a dog. I don't care for dogs. It's true. I don't. Think what you want of me about that, but whatever. And he is. And I know eventually one day we will get a dog. Do I want one? No. And so you have to think about those things of, what do you actually really love about your partner, or what are you willing to give up? What are your negotiables? What are your non-negotiables? And I think it might be a little bit easier to start with your values. And so I have an exercise for you. If you've never done this before, or if you have, maybe you want a little refresher. As you're starting to date, I don't know if you have any feels about, oh my God, it's 2025. What are my goals in relationship? Maybe you're thinking about this, and or maybe you're listening to Taylor Swift's "'Tis the Damn Season." That's basically a song about going back to your hometown and, being with that ex, pretending that you're with them until you go back to wherever it is you live after coming home, to your childhood home. And so essentially what it is, writing in your journal and thinking about, why do you want a relationship? Why? Truly, like, why do you want a relationship? Is it because you don't want to be alone? Is it because you want kids? Because you actually don't need a partner to have kids. It's easier, right? It's easier. Hopefully they actually divvy up the chores and taking care of the kid, but but why? What is the purpose of having a relationship in your life? Do you feel like it's the one last piece of your life that you're missing? Or do you feel like you deserve it for all the inner work you've done? Or do you feel like you can actually contribute to a relationship? Or is it because you feel like together with another partner, you can create more impact in this world? So I'm really starting to have you think about, is it purely for selfish reasons, egoic reasons, or is it more selfless reasons? Really think about it. I know that when I did this exercise many years ago, I thought about the reason why. And for me, my personal reason why for wanting to be in a relationship was because I wanted to create a healthy family blueprint for other children. I knew for me that I also wanted a partner to help make me better as well, and I to help make them better. I wanted to create more impact in this world by us being together. Because two's better than one. And so, before it was a little selfish. When I was younger, I was like, oh, I'm lonely, or everyone's together with someone. I want to know what it's like to feel loved like that, but it was just very selfish. And then I got older, and then I started to realize, why do I want a relationship? Not like the societal conditioning bullshit that people project on you. They have to be married by a certain age, or, all those rom-coms on Christmas, or any of those things. But really, why do you want one? Why do you even want children? Do you want children? Is it just selfish for a legacy thing? How will you contribute by being a good mother? Like, why do you want to be a mother? Why? I was not expecting to get this deep in this podcast episode, but here we are. Okay. And so just thinking about that, thinking about that reason, thinking about why you want to be in a relationship, and then thinking about what do you value in your life? Do you value community? Do you value health? Do you value wealth? What does abundance mean to you? Like really get deep into those questions. You know, do you value family? Is that important to you? Do you value travel? What types of relationships do you want to have? Are you committed to your own interpersonal development and your own inner world? And so those are the types of questions I'd love for you to sit down and get, so that you can get clarity on the type of relationship that you want, right? Because we can fall into that whole, mindset of, oh, I just want a relationship. But if we don't necessarily know why, we're not going to understand what happens when people show up into our lives and be really discerning about who we want to keep and whether or not the relationship is good for us and whether or not we think the relationship will last. Because I promise you, when you're in the early stages of relationships, you have oxytocin, dopamine, and you're not thinking clearly. And then usually the compatibility conversation settles in 3 years later. I'm like, where do we want to live? Is that something that I can compromise on or not? Or, just all those different things. How do you spend money? How do I spend money? But I just remember, though, that whole idea of needing my partner to be spiritual, super, super spiritual as me. It lifted. It lifted because I understand that people are spiritual in their own way. And I like that my current partner meditates. I don't need him to go with me to a kirtan concert anymore. He tried it once. He was like, hell to the no, not anymore. So it was super funny, but I'm not going to drag him to that again. I'm not going to think, oh my God, you're not spiritual because you're not going to a kirtan concert, or you're not spiritual because, you're not doing Kundalini yoga with me, or, it's just, they have their own way. Live and let live, okay? As long as they show up and treat you nice, that's totally fine. And they care about you and they're very loving towards you. That's just me. That's me. But if it matters to you where you really want someone, for example, if you want someone to be a certain religion, because, I know in other certain religions, you need someone to be the same religion as you in order to be married. So, it's just really what works for you. But when I did break up with my ex, I realized I had other friends that I could do those spiritual things with. And I didn't need to project it onto my partner that he needed to fill that for me. And so it's about learning, when it comes down to, is like getting your own needs met by yourself, by your community, and by your partner. Right? Because your partner cannot be the sole provider of all of your needs. Your partner cannot be the sole provider for your emotional needs. As women, that's why we have girlfriends. We're very emotionally close to our girlfriends. Our intimacy is about emotions. Men are not wired like that. They are wired by actual quality time and who they spend time with. Most of their best friends are people they've had actual experiences with, And so it's you need to find a balance for you, and everyone is different. And if you're the type right now, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. Start off with that exercise that I just mentioned. Writing in your journal, what are your current values right now and why do you want a relationship? And if you want to dive into this one-on-one deeper, I have spots open and available for one-on-one coaching. It's a beautiful container where we really get to dive deep into all of these things to help you attract that healthy relationship that you want. Because if you can't define what it is that you want, then you're going to accept everything that comes into your field. And so it's this opportunity where we get to set the stage, we get to create the foundation first, so that when you are in the experience of dating different people, when you are in the experience of just being in different environments and having those different experiences with different people, you get to choose from a place where you feel grounded. You get to choose from a place of clarity. And when you have clarity, there's peace around the decision. Okay. Anyways, I would love to support you, love to help you. Hope you all have, this is actually not going to air until January, but hope you all have a beautiful holiday. Hope you're all ready for 2025. I know I am. And thank you so much for being part of the journey. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for being part of the community. And let me know any other topics that you would love to hear. I always love creating podcast episodes around topics that are relative to you, relative to relationships, spirituality, and coming back home to yourself in a way that you love yourself so, so, so much that you do not settle. Anyways, I will talk to you all soon. Bye, everybody.